So welcome, HubSpot. Thank you for being here. HubSpot was actually our very, very first growth partner that we had in OPN and really started this community portion of it. So it's really huge, and they've been a big supporter of us throughout this journey and continue to support the communities. So it's awesome. Thank you for being here and presenting this, Mina.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Laura. Hi, everybody. Really excited to be here today. Before we start, I really want to mention that this education series is presented by HubSpot for Startups. And our program is essentially a combination of education resources, tailored training, integrated platform for startups, and last but not the least, the pricing that we give to our professional software. We do give up to 90% discount on our platform. If you really want to check out our CRM, it's really, really cool. Use this link that I dropped in the chat. It's with OPN, and you can get up to 90% discount on it. So today we will be talking about fundamentals of inbound marketing. But before I tell you guys about myself, I really want to get to know you guys. And I think we're like a bit of a small group. So why don't we, don't be shy. Feel free to unmute yourselves and interact with me. So my first question is, are you guys B2B or B2C? And we can go one by one with everybody here.
We're B2B.
B2B, awesome. Anybody else wants to share?
B2B.
B2B, okay. Anybody else?
B2B.
B2B, awesome.
Yes.
All right, everybody.
B2C.
B2C, okay.
B2C.
Finally.
I was going to say, maybe we should just say, is anybody B2C?
Pretty much, right? All right, let's move on to the next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar are you with inbound marketing or sales? 1 means that you don't know anything, and 10 means that you're an expert and you probably know more about it than I do.
Five.
5, okay, you're in the middle. Okay, awesome.
I'm putting myself at 5 too.
5, okay. So you guys have a bit of a sense of what it is then. Okay, rookie, all right, awesome. Anybody else?
7, 8.
7, 8, okay, awesome. All right, my next question, are you guys using any apps or tools to manage your marketing processes? And if so, what are you using? So it could be Facebook, Instagram, Google Ad, LinkedIn. I'm really curious to know what you guys are doing right now.
HubSpot.
HubSpot, oh, okay, love it.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, okay,
Yeah.
great.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. All right.
I was
Sorry,
just gonna say, Mina, on this piece real quick is we're a bootstrap startup. We're relatively early in the process, and we have all of our social channels in place. We're building our advertising infrastructure right now. And as we're doing that, we're finding that obviously HubSpot has some social integrations that can help with that. I'm also finding certain other, let's say, complementary platforms that I would love to see integrated into HubSpot. For example, the other day I came across a platform that what it does is it does all of your funnel testing for you across all of the social channels at once. So which is really, really cool. And if that functionality was available in HubSpot, that would be amazing.
Have you checked out the marketplace to see if the integration's there? Because
Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
okay, we can chat about it at the end, so that I can kind of look into it and see if I can help you with it. Yeah. All right, my last question for you guys. Tell me about your startup or your business in 3 words, and you can drop it in the chat or unmute yourselves.
We are a business intelligence platform for small businesses.
Love it. That's really cool.
We are video SEO that increases content creation by 10 times and save 8 times on research time.
Oh, wow. That's impressive.
Thank you.
We are CRM structure for production and export companies.
Oh, that's a cool one.
Yeah.
Okay. We're cardless credit charge offering buy now pay later solution.
Got it. And someone dropped something in the chat, luxury products at honest prices. Oh, I love that idea. All right, anybody else wants to share before I move on? All right, so As you guys may know, my name is Mina, and I'm part of HubSpot's partnerships team. And I was essentially hired last year to manage a Canadian portfolio and work with our partners locally. I am an engineering graduate from University of Toronto, and I used to work in fintech before joining HubSpot. So I'm a little bit new to the CRM world myself, but have been doing sales and marketing for a while. So what are we going to talk about today on the agenda? We've got a big agenda, by the way, but we're going to start with talking about the old playbook, which is outbound marketing. And then we're going to move on to the new playbook, which is inbound marketing. We're going to talk about the fundamentals of buyer's journey. And then we're going to cover some strategies in place to leverage, and finally close with a few examples. While I go through it, please feel free to interrupt me to ask questions. I really want this to be as interactive as possible. I really want you guys to be engaged. So don't shy away from unmuting yourselves and talking to me. Just bring it up. No issues with that at all. So let's start with the old playbook. I like to start things with this picture, and this is a really great image to show how the internet looks today. It ultimately shows you're competing against everybody. So you could literally be competing against a tweet by President of the United States, or maybe a cat video that's gone viral. Sky really is the limit, and it's pretty much wild, wild west out there. In today's world, buyers are in absolute control. Back then, local sellers had the upper hand, and business owners could really control the market. And nowadays, it's not really the case anymore. Buyers can find the information before they ever engage with the business, their website, their material, their employees. They can check you out on Glassdoor, Google reviews, all those fancy websites. Buyers have gotten better at blocking out interrupted marketing techniques, direct marketing, direct email marketing, ad blockers, and things like that. And finally, buyers have really heightened expectations around the experience of buying. So if they don't like the experience, they could bail on you really easy. To give you guys a simple example, if you wanted to buy a car in the 80s or the 90s, you could probably only get that from the local dealership in your town, and then the chances are that the store owners could control the pricing, they could control the inventory, customer service might have been a hit or miss, and you didn't really have a choice. You kind of had to work with what you had. So buyers kind of had to take it back then. Today, the customer experience is really more important than ever, because the whole situation is now reversed. Seth Godin, who was an executive during the dot-com bubble, said this interesting comment, and he said, the biggest problem with the old playbook is that it fights for people's attention by interrupting them. And we agree with that at HubSpot. However, there is a new playbook that entrepreneurs and business owners can use. At HubSpot, I don't know if you guys know that, but we're actually a unicorn startup. And about 10 years ago, when we were really early to the game, we really struggled with customer retention. Revenue wasn't really high, turnover was a problem with the teams, and it was just absolute pain point left and right. People were like pointing fingers at each other for all sorts of different reasons. And we ended up conducting a lot of studies, and our marketing team found a few interesting things. We learned that 91% of people unsubscribe from marketing emails. They don't like it. 20% direct mails are never opened and immediately thrown in the trash. And then 48% of people are listed on the do not call list. This was a big problem on top of everything that they were experiencing. And they're like kind of taking a step back, and they're like, you know what, we got to do something different here. And their tactic was essentially inbound marketing. And they really wanted to use that to their advantage so that they can turn things around for themselves as a startup. So what is inbound marketing, and what is the difference with outbound marketing? Inbound marketing is essentially a business methodology that attracts customers by creating valuable content and experiences that are tailored to them, while outbound marketing interrupts your audience with content they don't always want. Inbound marketing forms connections, looks for, or maybe solves problems that customers already have. And it engages an audience by connecting them with useful content through organic means. So for example, a skillfully crafted blog post about a blogger's favorite product will speak to its potential customer in a way that a banner ad can't. And this is also one of the reasons why this whole influencer culture is so successful, because all they do is essentially inbound marketing. So think of inbound marketing as a magnet and outbound marketing as a megaphone or a loudspeaker. One is trying to attract the right crowd, and the other one is basically just preaching to anybody who passes by. In technical terms, from a marketing standpoint, we call inbound marketing customer-centric and outbound marketing as marketer-centric. To give some more context, outbound is essentially things like banners, billboards, radio, TV advertisements, and then inbound and it's more things like SEOs, blogging, newsletters, which I'll get into shortly. And outbound, really, it's only feasible for corporations with large budgets, to be perfectly honest. The marketing campaigns are generally targeted towards a mass audience. So companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, the big banks, so RBC, TD, Head and Shoulders shampoo, they can probably pull something like that off. But truthfully, most businesses can't. One, it's because they don't have the budget. And two, their product is probably not addressing a mass audience. We're going to go back to the basics here a little bit. The traditional marketing is essentially described as a funnel. At the top of the funnel, which is basically representing awareness and interest, we have our website's visitors and traffics that we get. And then in the middle, we have potential leads and customers. And really, this is about consideration and engagement. And then at the bottom, we have marketing qualified leads. And this is about making a purchase and becoming loyal to the brand. So every marketing efforts at the very, very basic starts here. And then we can change this up because this is very old school. So what they did was that a lot of businesses turn the marketing funnel into a linear view, and then they break it down into 4 segments. So they call it attract, convert, close, and delight. And then for each part, they have like a collection of different activities to attract and retain customers. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I just want to cover the basics really, really quick because we have something better than this that I want to show you guys. And it's essentially called the flywheel model. So what we did was that we took the initiative to modify that marketing funnel that I showed 2 slides back, and we changed it to this. So inbound marketing becomes a part of a larger movement in this business world or flywheel model that we have. The idea here is that it's not just enough to attract people to your website from a marketing standpoint. You also have to continue to help, support, and empower them well after they become your customer. And that's how businesses grow, by keeping marketing, sales, and services constantly focused on how to help the current and future customers. Today, we're only going to talk about the marketing angle, but it's really good to have this flywheel for your business and see how you can apply it for your customers. Other companies that go by a very similar flywheel include Starbucks, Hilton Hotels, Amazon, and Nordstrom. I think Uber and Uber Eats have a really good flywheel model. They're really taking their customers into account. So it's a really good thing to keep in mind when you build your marketing teams. So how do you attract your target customers to your website? First of all, you really need to make sure that you are targeting the right people in the right place at the right times. And for that reason, knowing your buyer persona is really important. So then you can figure out what format and what content you should be putting out there. So for example, people probably hang out on Instagram and Pinterest for design ideas, retail, and overall storytelling. And then they use YouTube for tutorials and reading blogs for more technical things. So understanding this about your buyer will help you understand what you need to do for yourself. Last thing you want to do is spend money on ads in a place that buyers are not hanging out or checking out. So essentially, the philosophy here is that we want to pull people in by actually showing we're adding value and caring about them, but we really have to make sure that we're putting that content in the right place at the right time in front of that group of people that we're interested in. So the conditions would have to be right. You need to cover 5 things before you shape your marketing strategies. The first one is understanding inbound marketing principles, which we just covered. The second thing is your company's purpose. So basically, what is your mission beyond simply making a profit? The third thing is your business goals that you're trying to achieve here. So it could be revenue, brand awareness, customer acquisition. It could be a combination of these things, or maybe one single goal that you have at this point in time. Fourth thing is buyer persona. I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a different workshop that we cover that, but your starting point for inbound marketing is really to figure out who your audience is. It's really also important for you to know who your how your customer would like to make a purchase, so then you can make a personalized experience for them. For example, if your customer is hanging out on LinkedIn after 5 p.m., then great, we'll hang out on LinkedIn after 5 p.m. And finally, buyer journey, which I'm going to discuss very briefly. Any questions so far? Any discussion points so far? Because I know some of you guys are experts, so I would love to hear from you too.
I got a quick question, and I am far from being an expert. So you had mentioned before that newsletters are included in inbound.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. I guess that's probably only defined because people are opting in technically for those newsletters, even though at the end of the day, people don't really want to read newsletters. I think, and that's just a personal perception of my own. So do we find that people want to opt in and want to consume those newsletters, and therefore that's inbound, or is it outbound because they annoy the hell out of everyone?
No, so I think in Canada it's a little bit different. So in Canada they actually have anti-spam legislation. So at this point, if somebody wants to sign up for your newsletters, they're doing it voluntarily, which is a luxury to have. Yeah, that's a really good thing. And then in US they don't have that. So yeah, for sure you get spammed a lot. In all fairness, newsletters are not as popular as they used to be. Like, it's still an inbound tactic to have. If you have somebody's email address that you think they're interested, it's a really good way to nurture and prospect those people through newsletters. But it's not really, to your point, it's not really as popular as it used to be.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. No worries.
Can I add that what's interesting about the newsletter is that if you really form factor it and make it really short and functional to the information you're sharing, then it has a stronger value than the newsletters that people tend to send out, which are 30, 40 pages long, or at least that's what it feels like. So if you can short content it, you can really increase the numbers of open rate. We have a really strong open rate, and it's because everything is really, really refined by making it, 3 to 5 points or 2 to 3 points. And I think that's where you'll see that inbound value grow if you can add just tidbits of information and then keep feeding that information out. If it's KPIs for a startup and doing that every 1 to 2 weeks, that's what's going to engage your audience. And then clever subject lines, anything that's going to get people learning about your company and learning about what you're selling, it has to be short form fact instead of being long, drawn out written material.
I agree with that. You're very on point.
Well rehearsed, well rehearsed.
All right, let's move on. So very quick overview of buyer's journey and how it essentially ties back to marketing for us. The buyer journey is essentially the active research process a potential buyer goes through leading up to their purchase. So it follows them through the stages of becoming aware of a need, considering different solutions to fulfill that need, and then making a decision between the different solutions. And you can use the buyer's journey to create different content at different stages. And this is how we identified it. We use free guides, ebooks, videos, and blogs to woo our potential leads. And then our target audience for our webinars, case studies, and demos are essentially for people that we believe are considering to purchase our products, or at least they kind of have us on their top 3 or top 5 list. Again, free trials again, and then demos and consultations with the sales team are mostly targeted towards qualified leads that we believe are ready to actually make a purchase. So our marketing efforts are heavily segmented and they're very, very structured for us. So every time we put content out there, we're trying to, we're addressing a certain group. We're not doing like a general wide audience. We're doing it in a way that, are we trying to address someone that we're trying to attract, or are we putting it in front of an audience that's familiar with what a CRM platform is? So we really think these things through before we put it out there. And this is our internal buyer's journey that we use for reference. And if you take a look at here, every single point here is a marketing opportunity. If we do any events, we know it's only for brand awareness. We're not expecting people to buy from us at a dinner or a happy hour, but we do believe that it throws our name out there. Further down the journey, you can see a demo. So the demos are interesting, especially if you're a SaaS company, because a lot of people think that they do their demo early on, or they should show their product early on. It's not always the best idea for different reasons. One is that it's too time consuming. Sometimes it comes across as too salesy. So we try to make it a bit of a mysterious element, and we put that at the far end when we really, really confident that this prospect is going to make a purchase. So there's that element of, it's not just a demo, it's also element of marketing to it. And the other thing you want to make sure you remember when it comes to these buyer journey points, every single opportunity, every single marketing opportunity you get here, it has to be really cohesive with your brand. So your buyers should get like a really seamless experience across all departments, across every single interaction that they have with your team. So for us, all of that should be tied back together as a seamless, unified experience for the customer. And you can see that, again, we segmented that. So first part is awareness, consideration, and decision. So everything is really well thought out and organized in the back end. I like to leave the slide here for you guys, so then when you get a copy, you can check this out. I encourage you to consider your marketing tactics for each stage and what you believe what works best for your business here. Happy to pause here if you guys want to discuss a little bit. Otherwise, I'll move on. And I can go back to the buyer journey. So I'm just going to pause here for a few seconds. All right, let's move on. So how does your startup get found? This is where you can explore your strategies. Going back to this flywheel, we mentioned attract, engage, and delight. We're essentially trying to attract strangers, convert them to prospects, and then we're going to try to move these prospects to become customers. So when we go through that buyer journey, our goal is to just kind of move them closer to the purchasing decision as much as possible. And then we want them to become advocates for us through our marketing efforts. But how does that work within marketing context? Your marketing team is going to be your loudest amplifier. So with attract, it's really about the question that is being asked by a potential customer. And this is really your opportunity to demonstrate your knowledge. You could also make yourself available through meetings, calls, and chat. If you have a sales team, if you're a startup, networking is your best friend. The more people you know, the better, and the more right people you know, the better. And then engage. This stage is the moment your potential customer is taking an action. So for example, they may read an article, they may reach out to your sales team if you have one. And this provides the opportunity to start building a relationship. Your focus here is to build trust, answer questions, and provide solutions. And this is your chance for a one-on-one relationship as well. And then the last bit is delighting. So that revolves around providing an outstanding experience and exceeding their expectations. And this is your opportunity to create advocates. So covering all these three things, attracting, engaging, and delighting, my question for you guys is, where do you think you should focus your marketing efforts today? Is it attracting, engaging, or delighting? And feel free to unmute yourselves and drop it in the chat. Attracting, okay. Anybody else wants to share? Come on, guys, don't be shy.
Engaging.
Engaging, all right, awesome. Engaging, all right, perfect. So if you are early on, if you're in early stages for your business, attracting and engaging customers are probably the main focus areas. Engaging, awesome. Remember, what you're trying to do is that you want to build a machine, and you also want to build that from ground up. And I'll get into all the plays that we want to cover shortly. Delighting a customer or customer retention, that's something that's down the line once you're in the flow of selling. It's good to think about it today, but I don't think it's something that you want to execute on early in your business. Now, let's talk about the plays. What can you do when it comes to inbound marketing? For attracting, it's really important to understand SEO, blogging, social media, and video content. And I think we have a startup that specializes in video content, so we can talk about that more. And then for engaging, we'll cover email marketing, lead flows, automations, live chat. And again, the goal here is to build a magnet machine. So it's really important to cover all these things, understand which works better and makes sense for our business. So let's start with SEOs, search engine optimization. The goal with SEOs is to make sure you don't land on the second page of Google search results. And the main question is, what questions are your potential customers asking in order to stumble across your content? It's a really important thing to consider. What are they thinking? What are they Googling? What are the keywords that they're looking at? And I'm drop that question in the chat, and feel free to have a think about it for your business. There are two components to SEOs. One is relevance and authority. And then there are also two parts to SEOs. One is called on-page SEOs, and then the other one is called off-page SEOs. On-page SEOs refers to factors that you can control on your own website, and then off-page SEOs refers to page ranking factors that occur off your website, such as backlinks from another site. It also includes your promotion methods, taking into account the amount of exposure something gets on a social media, and all those little details. To reiterate this, on-page SEOs are things that you can control when it comes to your SEOs. And then off-page SEOs are things that you cannot control, but you're hoping that it will essentially work out in your favor. Understand? Yeah, you are right. This is a map of our SEO internally. I want to talk about Google search a little bit. Before 2013, if we wanted to Google something, we would type it in really simple words. So for example, red jacket. So if I typed in red jacket, Google would then scan and see every time red jacket was mentioned on the internet. It would then sort to see who are the most important people that are talking about a red jacket. For example, if Amazon did a blog post about a red jacket, then that single post would have authority and would probably show up on the first page, or even the first thing at the top. Today, Google has advanced so much that this format is no longer the case. It's about relevancy of search results. And it also gives everybody a fair chance. It's not really for the big guys anymore. Now, it's basically about what is your intent when you searched for this keyword. So for example, if I search red jacket with fur, Google would understand I'm probably looking for a winter jacket. But if I Googled red jacket Arsenal, Google would then bring results for Arsenal soccer team. So essentially, Google is really trying to understand the intention of what we're trying to do. It's far more advanced and sophisticated. So it's not just about your content with SEO, but it's also about making sure that your content is structured in a way that addresses the intention of your service or your product. And this will make sure that your business has a chance of being found through search engines. So if you look at the center of the slide, this is how we exactly structure our content in the back end to boost our SEOs. At the very, very center, we have something called topic cluster. And this is the broad overarching problem that we want to write about. A pillar content that we want to write about could be sales or marketing. So they're very, very broad, and there are tons of different things that we could write about it. And then through that, we write subtopics. So pillar content is the core content, and then that's what we want to be found for. In order to augment this problem, we want to write valuable subtopics. So if you go on our blog, our content goes beyond sales and marketing. There are posts about career growth and finance, and the content is written in such a way that it, in the end, somehow ties back to our CRM. So Google isn't naturally connecting these topics to marketing right off the bat or a CRM right off the bat. What we're doing is that we're using hyperlinks or backlinks for our own subtopics. It leads to the core page, and then from the core page, it leads to our product page. And this is because we want to lead our customers to a certain page. So we're giving additional push to our SEOs. And this is a result for red jacket fur. And then I also got Nordstrom and Zara as the stores to shop from. And this is the results for red jacket Arsenal. And this time the search results were different. I got Sport Check as a suggested store to shop from. So if you're locally in Toronto, then you will probably get something similar to what I have here. Okay, I think we have a question in the chat. What do you recommend as tactics or ways to build customers' comfort to buy one once you have them in the funnel? Build trust tactics, recommendation, social trust, feedback, example, content or feedback. Diane bought us. Jeffrey, I have a couple of examples at the very, very end. I can share them. And if it doesn't make sense, we can cover more examples. So we can save this question for the last, if that's okay. All right. All right, awesome. I want to share an internal use case with you guys. So staying on the topic of SEOs, this is how things looked for us in the back end visually. So if you look at the left-hand side, This was the state of our marketing efforts prior to 2013. And basically our content was just tons of blog posts out there, and then all of it was just lead to like HubSpot.com. And back then it really wasn't an issue because it really wasn't about natural language processing. It was just about pumping out as much as content as possible. But then when the whole change happened with Google, then we had to rethink all of these efforts. And then this is what happened. So we had to organize them in the back end. So one cluster would be sales, one cluster would be marketing, one would be finance. And then they're all really organized and they're all tagged to each other. So we know what we're putting out there and we're really, really careful with what we do. And just by making this change and organizing our content, we went from 6 million subscribers to 10 million subscribers. This is very important for our business because blogging is what really generates our qualified leads for us. And in our case, 20% of our top content generates about 80% of our leads. So it's really, really important to be as organized as possible. I'm going to drop the metrics for you guys in the chat so then you can kind of look at what our benchmarks are. And also the structure on the right-hand side works much better with Google's natural language processing. With SEOs, I want to show you guys a specific examples here. So we have entrepreneurship as a broad topic for HubSpot for Startups program. So in this case, entrepreneurship becomes our core content. And then we have about 5 to 6 subtopics that are interconnected. So each of these subtopics are structured in a way that they are not fighting for themselves. They are now a cluster that drives for the concept of entrepreneurship. So for example, a subtopic is about business incubator, equity financing, small business ideas. So they're all related to entrepreneurship, but none of them are cannibalizing each other. And that's a very, very important thing because the moment they start to cannibalize, they start to compete against each other. And then it's not going to drive for the concept of entrepreneurship in the middle, which would be our core topic cluster. And then that's going to hurt our SEO. So it's really important to understand that each subtopics has to be a very specific standalone blog post. Switching gears a little bit, I want to talk about off-page SEOs. It's really about building quality content. This is how most startups do it. They know that they need to get traffic and then they decide to write a blog. They spend lots and lots of time building content and they always almost forget to connect with other content outlets. And this is a huge mistake. Backlinks are really crucial in SEOs. It's not just quantity. Google's not going to show you just because you put out 50 blog posts out there. And it's not an isolated incident. It's one of those bad advices that it's given to startups. They're just told to put content out there as much as possible. And then they wait about 5 to 6 months. They get flat traffic. They don't really know what to do anymore. And then what they do instead is that they just add more content out there in an effort to get traffic. It's not going to work. It's not a really good way of approaching things. What you want to do instead is that as a new domain or new company, you really need to work on building your authority. So in this case, if you want to build authority on the internet, backlinks are going to be your best friend. Content is incredibly important, but without having any authority, then you're like the brand new author with no leverage. You're going to be like J.K. Rowling before she got her Harry Potter deal. This is how it should be. Building content and backlinks should be hand in hand. It's quality over quantity. So focus on quality and then make sure it's shared as much as possible so then you can build authority. It's so much better to have 5 good quality contents that it's constantly being shared on social media, LinkedIn, Medium, rather than having 50 low value content out there that's not really adding any value. So 2 things, relevance and authority here. And this is how you want to do it. Get people to share your blog posts or YouTube video or whatever you have that's relevant to your SEOs as much as possible. So quality over quantity. And if you are wondering what backlinks are, they're sometimes called inbound links or external links. And they're essentially links from other websites to your website. So search engine considers backlinks as a vote for your website and your content, which can improve a site's ranking and your search results. So once you create your content, you want to make sure that it's shared as much as possible. Does things make sense with SEOs? Any questions about them before I move on?
All makes sense.
All makes sense? Okay. Because SEOs are pretty hard to explain, but I'm glad it makes sense. All right, let's talk about blogging. So once you get the hang of SEOs, you want to move on to blogging. To reiterate, if SEO is important for your business, then you should care about blogging. So then you can be found on Google and then get your SEO credit. So whether this is educational or an event, it honestly doesn't matter. You want to be at the top of the search results. A blog idea. If you are speaking with your prospects and then the same questions are coming up over and over again, that's probably a good indication that you want to write about it, because you probably know about that certain topic more than other people do. So it's valuable information. So why blogging? I know a lot of people don't like it, but there are good reasons why blogging is good for a startup. Number one reason is that it's really cost effective. Second reason is that it helps with closing deals. So for us, we studied our consumers, we study our traffic, and we know about 40% of our buyers, they check out about 3 to 5 pieces of our content before actually engaging with our sales team. That's like half of our customers. So it's really valuable. Third thing is that it's got long-term value. So there's no need for like a monthly budget, or you need minimal budget for that. And it really can live on your website for a very long time. And then the fourth thing is it drives traffic to your website. For us, for example, we've produced so much content around inbound marketing that we pretty much show up on the top of the search results. Some people get Wix first sometimes, but Salesforce was our competitor, and they are 10 times bigger than our company. They show 4th or 5th. So we have authority over them, even though they're 10 times bigger than us. So it's definitely doable. And if you don't wish to blog on your website, you can always rely on authority blogging. What is authority blogging? It basically means using a third party with authority domain for your content, like Medium, Quora, Reddit, LinkedIn. One of our partners in Toronto produces lots of content on the Canada startup ecosystem, and I actually use his stuff for my internal presentations. So he's essentially using inbound marketing to attract someone like me, which is working in his case. And then our team is using inbound marketing, so blogging, to attract someone like him. So him and I are essentially doing a full circle here with each other. Anything on blogging you guys want to add? Any discussion points on SEOs and blogging? Because I really want to hear your thoughts as well as I'm going through this.
Not me. I'm in agreement with everything you've said, and we've done the exact same thing.
Awesome. How often do you put out the post? How long should it be? So I think, Sarah, like the best advice I can give you is you have to find the right balance for yourself. But I think like the way you want to think about it as a startup, you probably don't have the time and the budget or even the resources to put out that much blog post. So the best way to do it is to just create maybe like 3 to 5. That's all you need. And then just get people to share that content as much as possible, or get people to talk about it as much as possible. So then you can become the go-to person. So I wouldn't worry about the frequency of putting blog posts out there today if you're early on, unless you have a team. And then in that case, then you can put out stuff out there weekly or monthly. But early on, just focus on quality and producing something that can last and stay on your website for a very, very long time for your business. Hopefully that helped. All right, let's move on to social media. Social media platforms are not equal. You can't really put the same content on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, for example. We should put our content in the right format, in the right place at the right time. So Twitter, for example, is really good for live events and trends, and it's pretty short and sweet. Twitter is really good for engaging in conversations from a business perspective. You can follow the relevant hashtags, and you can actually engage with people who are looking at your product. And then you flip over to Facebook. It's probably more personal, where you are essentially interacting with your social network. Facebook is also an acquisition channel, so people have their businesses also set up there, and they post pictures and videos. It's fairly lighthearted. And then Instagram, on the other hand, it's all visual, based on storytelling through pictures and videos. Pinterest, all about design, storytelling, pictures. And then LinkedIn is different. This is where your credibility of your business probably lives. So if you're like a B2B SaaS company, LinkedIn is really, really important to you. It's also a great source to post your blogs and engage with the relevant community and be viewed as a leader. If you're B2B, you really want to be an influencer on LinkedIn. If you understand where your audience is living, then you can get the right content in front of them. If you guys have any tips, feel free to drop it in the chat while I'm going through these social media slides. Social media and marketing isn't all arts and crafts. You also need to analyze how your content is performing. How many of you guys know exactly where your traffic is coming from? Do you know where you should be hanging out? And to be perfectly honest, most people don't know, and they don't always notice success. So you should have a goal for yourself. So for example, if you want to have 500 leads, then the question is, how much traffic do you need? And once you know your benchmark, then all of your marketing strategies will go towards that. In terms of content, it's very time consuming. It will take you hours and hours. You want to have a mix of creation and curation. You can always outsource to a platform like Fiverr and Upwork, but you can also share things on your website that are relevant to your business. So it's essentially curated. You don't need to always create content. The chances are that you don't have the time. So it's best for you to work with what you have. Videos have been dominating since 2017. Audiences consistently prefer video content, but it's really important to know your audience and your channel. So for example, Facebook and Instagram users consume content really passively. They scroll down and the feed is only stopping for maybe they stop for the most interesting content, but even that, you probably have about 3 seconds to engage your audience. And if they move on, then you basically lose your chance. YouTube, on the other hand, is much more intentful. It can also help you with your SEOs. That's the beauty of it. And then if you're living on Instagram and someone is posting a story on your product, make sure you share it. So if you guys get those reviews, please share it. If somebody's leaving like a good 5-star Google review on social media, share it. It's like basically free marketing for you. And it's a really, really cool way to let people know that what you're doing is awesome. With all of that mentioned, make sure that you don't overdo it too much with your content either. So you're going to have to find the right balance. There's no perfect formula to do that. You kind of have to test it out to see what works for you best. Nearly half of social media users will unfollow you for being overly promotional. So they don't like a salesy kind of obvious marketing. So you want to be careful with that. So you need to test these out a little bit, but it's really good to see what's available to you and what you can do to make it work. People know when they're being sold to it. Remember that. So they don't really like it. Laura, there's a section on videos. I'll get there and we'll talk about that. For social media to be successful, it does sometimes require a little bit of promotion. Keep in mind the organic reach on a platform like Facebook is little to none. So it's not going to hurt to have a budget set aside to test these out. And then once you understand your persona, you can spend money on the right ads. So Facebook, let's take a look at that one. They're pay to play. So if you want to reach your audience, honestly, you can't really rely on organic reach alone. Boosting posts is going to allow you to get the right content in front of the people that you want them to see. LinkedIn, on the other hand, it's a great place to use targeted advertising to reach a more qualified audience. Timing is really important. So you want to figure out the right time for your business, and you want your post to go live when your buyer persona is online. One thing I want to add on LinkedIn, is although, like, yes, you can use ads for it. The way that LinkedIn is today, it's very old school, the way that Facebook used to be. So if you have activity on LinkedIn, if you're like liking things, leaving comments, you automatically come to the top and you're grabbing other people's attention. So it's really good to be active on a platform on LinkedIn, since majority of you guys are B2B. This is a creative example for Google Ads and also SEOs by Canva. If you Google Canva alternatives, you'll get something like there's no alternatives. Canva is really well known for their heavy focus on SEOs, backlinks, and ads. I think they've got thousands of them, and they're really creative about it. This is probably a little bit outdated. I checked it a few days ago. It really wasn't the case anymore, but back in the days, that's how they positioned it, and it was really creative in my opinion. these guys have so much influence that most people can't even think about their competitors when they think about Canva. People tend to think that Canva is the only platform out there doing what they do. And it's not true. But it shows you the power of marketing and influence that they have. You know, they're competing against PowerPoint, for example, or Photoshop, for example. And for some reason, a lot of people, when they think Canva, they really can't think of these two platforms. Let's cover video content. Somebody does video stuff here, so please feel free to unmute yourselves and help me out here. You probably know a few things more than I do, so I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Briefly talked about it in the previous slides, but according to a recent HubSpot research report, four of the top 6 channels on which global consumers watch videos are actually social channels. And we realized that 54%, so more than half the consumers, prefer video when it comes to content. And we believe in today's social media, they're absolutely dominating when compared to other channels, especially since 2017. So in the past 5 years, video has been just taking off like wildfire. We know a majority of online shoppers believe product videos really help them make a purchasing decision. So it's definitely something to pay attention to. And one of the most effective ways to educate your audience while offering immediate value is to create tutorial videos. This is an example explaining buying or renting a property in Germany. I watch tons of these videos on YouTube, especially if I'm considering buying something that's a little bit on the expensive side, you know, vacuum, or maybe something a little bit more pricey. So I find them really valuable. I know I'm part of the trend. And the thing that's really important to remember about YouTube is that YouTube is essentially the second largest search engine in the world behind Google, even though it's not a search engine. And that's a really important thing to understand. They're intended to just produce video content. They do show up for SEO, so they're just naturally becoming the search engine behind Google. So it's a really good channel to consider for your business. According to Forbes and HubSpot, 87% of video marketers say that videos give them a positive. Yeah, I agree with that. So there are many different types of marketing videos. Of course, you know, you can do demos, brand promotions, events, you can do live videos, interviews, educational videos, animated stuff, case studies. Personalized messages are all opportunities for marketing videos. Podcasts are also related to videos, but I'm not going to cover them today. But if it makes sense for your content, feel free to remove the video and just use the audio for a podcast episode. Podcasts are super, super trendy right now. And to answer your question about videos, Laura, so you can't really say, oh, like, you know, we need like, it needs to be a fixed length of time. First, you have to figure out what do you want to do, what type of content you want to put out there, you know. So like if you're doing a demo, you may want to keep that under 15 minutes, you know, with length of video. If you're doing branding, maybe less than 5 minutes, just so you can engage your audience. Animations, 10 minutes would work. And then with expert videos, you can be a little bit longer. You could do like 30 minutes to an hour. Educational stuff, same thing. So it's really comes down to the type of video you want to put out there, and just figuring out the best practices for that type of content or category that you're interested in. But usually, sorry, go on.
What we found in our recent research that people, if you can inspire from successful videos within your industries and try to not really copy word by word, but take the idea and then put your own spin into it, it does lead to a growing audience based on the recent research we've done.
Yeah, for sure. Like you don't have to be like creative with topics, for sure. You can like redo a topic. Absolutely, like nothing wrong with that. To your point, execution, like just delivering a good quality is what's going to make the difference for you. We had someone who has a video startup, so if you have to, oh, it's you. Okay. Anything else you want to add here that you think I didn't cover?
No, I mean, you're doing an amazing job. I'm actually using HubSpot for real.
Okay, so, awesome. Thank you.
Follow my leads, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. All right, so we talked about email marketing newsletters very briefly in the beginning, and I want to cover it, even though it's not really as popular as it used to be. I think it's a really important thing to cover anyways. The first marketing email was sent out in 1978, and that resulted in 13 million in sales of computer machines. And it kicked off what has become one of the most highly used marketing channels even to this day. Given its early beginnings, it's not really as shiny as some of the newer channels like social media or messaging or, even YouTube, but it's still pretty effective to build an owned audience that gets results. If you have their contact information and if you actually know who those leads are, if they're really, really qualified, newsletters will be useful for you. Email marketing is not dead. When it comes to customer acquisition, if you get this right, if you execute it right, it's 40 times more effective than Facebook and Twitter combined. So maybe not a top priority marketing strategy, but if you're a little bit on the advanced side and if you have the right people in your network, might not be a bad idea. Some basic tips, the copy in the email, it should be consistent with your voice and stick to one topic per newsletter. Don't overdo it. Like we mentioned earlier, somebody else mentioned that. Images are really good, but if you're using them, make sure it's optimized for all devices. It's eye-catching, it's relevant. CTAs are really important for newsletters. You want to have call to actions that should lead to relevant offers and stand out from the rest of the email. So you don't want to put just text and images. You really want to have like a link or a hyperlink to something. It has to have a purpose if you're putting out a newsletter out there. Timing is really important. Based on a study that observed responses from over 20 million emails, Tuesdays 11 a.m. Eastern time is the best day and time to send out your emails. And then responsiveness. 55% of emails are opened on a mobile device. So your email should be optimized for different devices. You may want to have 1 or 2 breaking points so then you can address this. And then your tone, write it almost as though you're writing to a friend. So it has to be personable, address your reader in a familiar tone, and you also want to be professional if you're B2B. And then the subject line, make sure it's clear, actionable, and catchy. And it's really aligned with the body of the email. You can definitely use workflows to automate the process if you have like a large contact list to go through. So you can schedule that, you can sequence it, and then your follow-ups will be automated. You can personalize it. That can also be automated in an email. I do it all the time. So if you have like more than say 50 contact in your Excel sheet that you want to address through a newsletter, automating it is a really useful thing to think about. Anything on newsletters, because we talked about it earlier. I just want to see if there's anything else that you guys want to cover for the newsletters. Okay, let's move on. Live chats and chatbots. This one is a bit of a new thing. I think it's one of those things that's a little bit unfamiliar territory with people. They've seen it, but they're not really implementing it for their business. It's really about having conversations. And you want to establish these meaningful connections with your site visitors in real time. That's really important. It can convert new leads for you and close more deals, and it can provide support to your prospects and customers. If you think that live chat is just for customer service, you're genuinely missing out. Live chat is marketing, can be a marketing play just as much. And it plays a key role in lead generation machine. A lot of the companies are using live chat to implement engaging conversational and marketing content on their websites. So for example, Pet Plan, Best Buy, Rogers, they're all doing that. So they're great for B2C business models as much as B2B. Another example I can think of, so I was buying some clothes online a few weeks ago, and they actually had a live chat. And then if I messaged them and I start to have a conversation, at the end, they gave me like a discount code. So it's a marketing effort. They're trying to engage me by giving me a discount code at the end. So it's a really good, trendy thing to think about from a marketing standpoint, but it's also really great for customer service. And finally, let's talk about building that lead magnet that I mentioned. Your lead magnet is exactly as it sounds. something that attracts prospects to your email list, usually in the form of a free offer. So the offer can take a number of formats, and it should be valuable to your prospects, and it should be given away for free in exchange for an email address. So if you're in marketing, email address is a really powerful data for you that you want to have. There's just one problem here. People have become hyper protective of their personal information. So you can't really expect them to give away their email address without exchanging something valuable with them in return. So think about the lead magnet that's relevant, useful, and then makes your prospects' lives easier. Let's talk about this marketing funnel one more time that I showed in the beginning. When we are attracting our potential customers, we really want to make sure that we are capturing their contact information. So then we can build we can build out some great leads in the future. We don't want these leads to go out the door and never speak to us again. You know, like if they're coming through, we want to stay in touch with them. And email addresses are the most powerful thing you can have right now. Not all prospects are converted the same way, and we need to identify the good leads and invest time in them. And we want to invest our time in the leads that we know have a high probability of purchase. We don't want to spend time on people that we don't think are going to make a purchase. It's going to be a waste of time and energy. For subscribers, we want to establish a connection. Ideally, we want their contact information. And then for leads, which is in the middle, we want to get some data to further understand our prospects. You know, we're trying to figure out our lead indicators, you know, what convinces them to stick around. We want information like job title, location, company name, how many times they interacted with us, what types of conversations they had with us. If we can track them online, we should do that just so we can kind of figure out their behavior and what kind of makes them tick and come to us and make a purchase. So it's really important to have that. And then at the bottom, for marketing qualified leads that we talked about, we are looking for a signal that our prospect is ready to make a purchase. And this is where we start the sales conversation. I want to put things into perspective a little bit when it comes to the marketing funnel, because it's a bit of a harsh reality, but it's one that you kind of have to look at and be aware of. This is a HubSpot example. So 30% of our visitors, they become subscribers to our blog. 40% of those subscribers, they will become leads. And then 45% of those leads will become marketing qualified leads. And then in the end, only 15% of marketing qualified leads make a purchase. So this essentially means the benchmark that I mentioned earlier. Out of every 20,000 site visitors that we have for our product, we only close 162 deals. And that is why we're actively looking for contact information, and we care about attracting our prospect. Because when you have something like this on paper, when you're looking at these numbers, the odds are against you. So you really want to be as proactive as possible. And that's why we care about the contact information again. My question for you guys is, how do you know which marketing efforts are bringing the best leads for you? And that's going to dictate all of the strategies and the plays that we mentioned earlier. Now, let's look at some examples. One way to get your prospects' contact information is to have a call to action. Call to actions are really powerful in the marketing world. So it could be a pop-up form with a clear CTA that says download now. So let's take a look at this one. This one has subscribe. So here, this is a real estate company, I believe. How much is your home worth? So it could be mortgage, sorry about that. So this one, they're looking for the important information like type of property, beds, bath, things that could kind of give them more information in terms of understanding their prospect. And then they have the full name, email address, and phone number. So they're looking for the right data so then they can analyze this person later on down the road. So once they do that, another thing that they could do is lead them to a second page. So let's look at the second example here. This is a landing page. This is for downloading an ebook. And then in this case, they're looking for company name, and then they're probably trying to segment where they stand in terms of company size. So they want to know the number of employees, and then they want to know the website. Once you have that, you let them download that ebook. And then you could also take them to the next page to give them an extra offering. But this is a really important thing, and you want to make it as friendly as possible so then they will be willing to give that information away to you. And you can see that the number of work employees here that have a star, so that's mandatory. So they have to give that away. It's important information to the business. And then after they download the ebook or they subscribe, you can take them to a thank you page where they can download the offer. And then this piece of content, typically when you do this, it's aimed at people who are lower in the marketing funnel. So they're probably marketing qualified leads. It's a really good opportunity to show them something extra. So you could give them free something, you know, free marketing or free sales software or a sample that you could have, anything, or maybe a demo. And it's really up to you to judge what offer makes sense the most. But if you're giving them, if you're trying to get the contact information, or if you're trying to like get them to download or subscribe, it's always good to have that second day offer to show them you're, you know, valuable here. And then once you have the contact information, this is what you're going to do with it. You want to analyze them. You want to know what they're doing, how many times they're looking at your website, what the traffic is. But in this case, this one is looking at the newsletters, and this is how we're doing it. We send out those marketing campaigns and automated marketing emails, and then we send them. And also remember, we're always receiving a bunch. So they're like really important to be sent out in a timely manner. And then if you look at this one, this is more like a series. So they're probably being sent out maybe once a month. And then each one is looking at something specific or discussing something specific. And it's very intentional. So if you look at the first one, it's talking about on-page SEOs. There are two things happening here. You can see that there's a CTA in the first one, on-page SEO template. They really want you to download that. You know, like they're not sending out this newsletter to you just so you read it. They want you to interact with the company and the website. And then the second one, it's about social media strategies. Oh, why don't you come and like hang out and like click on the CTA and figure out what this is. At the end of each email, you can also see that says free 30-minute social media assessment or free 30-minute SEO assessment. So this guy is trying to get in front of you and trying to have a conversation with you. And then finally, once the series is over, it sends out an email like, you know, our mission is to help your company grow. Come and speak with us, request an assessment. So it's very, very intentional. And it's built out in a way that you're supposed to move in that buyer journey and get closer to the purchasing decision that I showed earlier. Retargeting is also another tactic to be aware of. It's a really great example that I can think of would be vacation booking. The ad is in front of you for so long that the customer ultimately makes a purchase. Another example I can think of, I don't know if you guys ever heard of them, Always Pan. They've been doing retargeting for years now. I still refuse to make a purchase, to be honest with you, but I know their brand and it also intrigued my interest. So I did go and like read about them on Reddit. I read their Google reviews. So basically it's in front of you that you can't really ignore it. And it's also like familiar to you after some point. So it's a really good tactic if you're like B2C and you want to make it sale quick. Going back to the contact information, there are some examples of nurturing emails that we can look into. So this one would be considered a nurturing email. This case, in the next slide, I'll show you guys what happens in the backend. But in this case, what happened was that we have somebody's email address, and then in the backend in our CRM, we turn on a toggle. So that means that every time that this person that we're interested in, or we think that they're going to make a purchase, every time they go on our website, we get a notification. And then the expectation is that the sales team would have to go and reach out to them within 10 minutes. Otherwise, that lead is lost. So the marketing team would build all these marketing templates and emails that's intended to send out to nurture that prospects that checking out our website. So we're carefully analyzing their behavior. We're trying to see what they're doing, and we're trying to reach out to them and engage them. And this is how it looks like in the back end. You get a notification like this that's automated, and it says this person just viewed the pricing page, thought you may want to follow up with them. They have a lead score, and then there are resources that the salesperson can use that's already built by the marketing team. So you don't want them to go out the door. If you have their email address, it's a really powerful thing for you to pay attention to. For B2B, use cases are really good, very, very powerful. especially if you have like a complex sales process, it's a really great way to sell it to your customer and just kind of show how you add value and how you help other businesses. If you're B2C, you could use this as a testimonial page. You can also use a calculator. President's Choice Financial, they had a calculator. I think they removed it, but all the banks like RBC, TD, they have like mortgage calculators that you can like check out. Function of Beauty, which is another unicorn startup, they have a calculator for their hair products. I think it's really cool and it's really interactive and engaging. Like even if you're not making a purchase, it's still a really fun thing to check out. So it's a really good marketing idea to have out there and use. You can also create the ebook for download. The other examples I showed, this is not always my favorite, but it does work if you want someone's email address. You just have to make sure that you're putting meaningful content in your book. A lot of people cheat this, so they want the email address, they want the contact information, but they put really useless content in the PDF. And then it's never really a good look. I remember I did that a while back and I shared my work email address. So they started like prospecting me. But what annoyed me was the fact that the ebook that I was interested in didn't really have any useful information in there that could help me out. So if you choose to do this, be very careful with it and just make sure that it's something that's valuable. It's going to be a very good look for you if you do that. Some key takeaways from this presentation. One is that understand who you're selling to get insights into what your ideal buyer journey looks like. 3, decide where you want to focus and which stage of the inbound methodology you want to focus. Figure out which place you would like to kick off. When it comes to social media, you don't want to be everywhere. You just want to choose your top 3 and then just stick with that. And then finally, add force, reduce friction, and automate. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I'd like to hear from you guys a little bit. So if you have any questions or if you guys want to discuss something, your marketing ideas, we have plenty of time left. So we'd love to open up the floor and have a conversation. Well, thank you.
So I wanted to touch on the item that I brought up before. I sent you the URL to this website that I just came across recently.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys, what they do is you can basically do all your funnel testing in one place. So they connect to, they're basically something like Hootsuite that tracks all of the ROI to every post, and then you can throw $100, $500 at every channel, and it does it automatically. So you do like one post across all the different channels, and it'll tell you where you got the best engagement, so on and so forth. So I am not familiar enough with HubSpot social tools because we're on the free plan right now, and they're not available to us. So if there was something like this integrated into HubSpot, like you said, I'll have to take a look at the marketplace. But I was wondering if there's any chance, since there's not too many people on the call today, if some of us on the free plans could get access to the social media functions in HubSpot.
Yeah, for sure. So with the social media, I know the SEO one of the things that it does, you could put your URL and then it analyzes it for you. And it gives you like output or like what you should do or pointers of what's working for you. That's one of the things it does. With the social media, it also like the social media some of the things I've seen. So for example, if you get like a new follower, it gives you data on that new follower. And you can kind of figure out whether that follower is valuable to you or not, or you can kind of aggregate the data and figure out, well, where your followers are coming from, where they're based at, who they are, do they have like a business, what their business is like. You can kind of figure those things out. And then I just have the website open that you just mentioned. So publish campaigns across multiple ad networks in a jiffy. Yeah, so like it does do that. Like I think the Marketing Hub has that ability.
It does. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is where these guys take it a step further. Where they can, in one, they'll show you all the analytics of every channel in one place, and they can say, okay, your customer acquisition cost on this channel is better than on that channel, or something along those lines.
Oh yeah, HubSpot has that too. So like if you have like multiple social channels, like it compares your Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for you, and you can figure it out. Yeah, it has that. I think it's on the Pro plan though, to be honest with you.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mind sharing your email address with us?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Let me drop it here. You can also add me on LinkedIn. No problem with that at all. So this is my email address. I can Google to see how because I can't unfortunately share my screen with you with how it looks for the back end for us, but let me see if I can Google social media. So let me see, there's one view that I really want you to see. Interactions. Yeah, so you could get these things, subscribers, interactions, and then there's one, I think, yeah, it's something, it's literally this. So it shows you all these things that you're mentioned, like it shows like where you're doing better. So it does give you that reporting ability as well.
Mhm.
It's just that it's probably, yeah, it's on the pro for sure.
All right, thanks.
No worries. All right, what are your recommendations for email surveys sent out to clients who bought from you before? Any suggestions on how to create a better experience using marketing tools? Yeah, so actually that's a really good idea. So usually when you do that, it's for delighting and kind of collecting feedback. So absolutely do it. So if you have an interaction with them, the best way to do it is to send out that survey right after you have an interaction with them. Because if you do it down the road, they kind of lose you. You kind of lose them, sorry. So like, as soon as you have an interaction, send out a survey and be like, I want to know your thoughts. And then you want to be as transparent as possible. When I look for feedback from my partners, for example, I say, give me the good and the bad and the ugly. I want to hear all of it. So don't shy away from that and let them open up. So that's a really, really good idea. All right. Any suggestions on how to create a better experience using marketing tools available today? It really depends on what you're trying to do, right? So if you tell me a little bit about your business, maybe I can give you better pointers, because when it comes to marketing, it's not really one size fits all. It really comes down to your business and what works for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can jump in. So thank you. This was a really good session. So I just want to mention, it's not my business. It's actually someone I'm working with, and it's for their business. So they're a travel company that they do personalized travel excursions. So their clients don't really buy often, but they buy once in a while, right? Their experience. So they want to work on their brand awareness and send surveys to their past clients that bought within a certain range excursions, and they want to see their interest in the upcoming year or so. So it's more of a, I guess, a growth sort of initiative, trying to get back those clients that were happy, obviously, and that had a really good experience, and trying to see what they feel, what their sentiment is about travel again.
So what are they doing so far?
Well, I have to meet with the CEO, but he's basically, he doesn't want to put a lot of budget in marketing, because he had to actually, he struggled through this period with, during the pandemic. So he's not sure really where to spend the money, but he wants to really touch base with the past clients that were, call it loyal clients in a way, that, so he wants to get a sense of who is interested again to travel, where are they interested to go, and just see what he can offer based on the excursions he has and the partnership he has with the organization. So he doesn't really offer around the world kind of travel. There's certain countries and certain locations that he is customizing travel for.
Okay, awesome. But is he like, is he like on Instagram? Is he on TikTok? Like,
he doesn't. Yeah, he has his own website. He doesn't really have much. I mean, he has some Instagram. I have to check a little bit more. But he's kind of trying email and, like, as you said, touch points after a conversation, or if someone goes on his website and tries to get a quote and an itinerary, then they actually have touch points with the customer right away, with surveys and trying to understand more why, if they want to buy, why they don't want to buy, that kind of stuff. But he's actually trying a little bit more of an initiative, trying to awaken the awareness of the business for all the clients that he has in the past. So he has their emails and he's trying to reach to them. And you said Tuesday at 11 Eastern time is the best time to send an email. So I might mention that to him. But what is, from your experience, what's the best way to how to put together that survey? What is the best measuring tool? And I guess it has to be done well by someone who knows very well how to write the proper survey, not too long, not too short, right? Get the right information you need.
Yeah, you probably, like, because with surveys, you want to do like less than 10 questions. Otherwise, they're not going to like fill it out and complete it.
Yeah.
When it comes to travel, like the thing that people always do, and it's very common practice, is retargeting. they basically like put it in front of you for so long that you just kind of like, you end up making a purchase, right?
Yeah.
But in his case, like similar businesses I've seen, Instagram is really powerful and is free. TikTok could be really useful for them.
Yeah.
And newsletters. So like they're just putting out newsletters with these like beautiful pictures or whatever plan he has. And then like he's just kind of doing it over and over again to engage them. Like retargeting is going to be his best friend if he's really like into having like a low cost marketing effort. Because that's the cheapest way of doing that. Having the email addresses are very powerful, but full transparency, like if they used his services like pre-pandemic, they're not going to give you a feedback right now. So if you want to collect feedback, you want to get that from your more recent customers that you had. That's where the challenge is going to be for him. So I would probably just focus on the newer things, because like if they used you 3 years ago, they're not going to give you feedback now, would they?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Maybe a very low, I think you can try, right? But he has to know when there was the last engagement with the customer and then see what the response rate is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then like seasonality. So like, for example, like December's coming up. Like if they're in Canada, December's super cold, right?
Mhm.
Perfect timing now to just kind of like send out and say like, oh, like, do you want to plan it? We'll make it easy for you. You know, come to us, contact us. You know, planning a trip could be like really stressful for a lot of people. They don't really have the time, or they can't really figure out their budget. You could literally like make it seem like you're providing a solution to them and making their lives easier through these services that you offer. So you could definitely position it from a marketing campaign like that, where you create these series, and then at the bottom you add like a beautiful picture of what we've done. This is really cool. Let's do it for you too, you know?
Yeah. And you said newsletter, one last thing, because I don't want to take too much time on this call, but newsletters,
Newsletters,
or,
newsletters and emails are the same thing. Yeah, newsletters, emails,
through email, not
social
website.
yeah, and you want to have a CTA. You can also, I know you said surveys, that's useful, but do it for your recent customers. Having testimonials are really good. So if they like drop your testimonial, share it on your Instagram story. Like if someone says something and tags you, ask them to tag you, create like a hashtag and get them to like tag you.
Yeah.
The bigger the better, you know?
Yeah, and I think he's trying to create a sort of incentive why they should put testimonial, get some kind of a discount from future bookings, things like that, just to get that engagement going. Yeah.
Yeah, it requires a lot of patience, and it's just like when it comes to with retargeting, you're not very salesy. You're just putting it in front of them, and that's his best friend. He has to be patient with it, and that's probably the best way he can approach it.
All right, thank you so much. It's great.
No worries. All right. How is HubSpot acquiring the data for website traffic? So Billy, at the very core of it, they're looking at your website traffic. So if they have your email address, then they can track your activity. So they can see how many times you checked out a certain page, how many times you've been on our website, how many times you've been on our pricing page. So we can turn on these toggles. If we send you out an email, we can see how many times you opened it. So it just kind of tracks your activities from that angle. And then we can kind of figure out whether you're engaged or not. Because like if we send you an email, if somebody sends you an email from the HubSpot CRM, if you delete it and never open it, then that means that you're not interested. But if you're somebody who's keeping opening it over and over again, or you're clicking on the CTAs and you get a notification in the CRM, then that means that you're interested. So it's looking at those data in terms of traffic. It's looking at response rate. It's looking at open rate. If somebody books time on your calendar through your emails, it shows you that data. So then you can figure out, well, if I have 100 people in front of me, out of those 100 people, who's actually interested. So it can track all those data for you. All right. Who are the competitors and can you serve startups in Nigeria? Like HubSpot competitors, Moses? So for HubSpot,
yes,
yeah?
HubSpot competitors.
Okay, yeah. So HubSpot being a CRM, the biggest competitor is essentially Salesforce. But our positioning is very different. Their positioning is very different than our positioning. So they target more enterprise level companies. We're more mid-market startup focused. There is Klaviyo, for example, is another one that's a competitor. There's a little bit smaller. The MailChimp would be, I would consider them as a competitor, but they're only competing with one of our products. They're not competing with all of our products. And the next question is, can you serve startups in Nigeria? I think we do. I think we have people who manage the Africa territory. So for sure, we should have people there. All right, our competitors are very strong. Should we get support from other organizations to explain our difference to them while we are putting forward something different, and how do we understand? So can you tell me a little bit about that? Like if you're getting support, who would the larger organization be? Like what is your business and who's the larger organization? How do we understand the important point of benefit and harm here? And we are alone on that topic. Okay. Customers understand that we are talking about, and I asked them as an extra support for them to understand more. Support CRM SaaS organization. So yeah, it's always good to have support, right? Specific software for production sectors. Okay, so yeah, so when you're backed by a larger organization, that's always going to work out in your favor. That's like free marketing for you. It's like a testimonial. If you have like, if you're backed by YouTube, for example, or maybe like a TV channel, that's a really powerful thing to have. Yeah, for sure. So hone in on that. No shame in name dropping and letting people know that you're working with the big guys. All right. Putting forward something different and how we understand the important point of benefit and harm here. So the way that we always, and hopefully I'm on the right track here. So the way that we always present our product is we train our sales team. And I think that's really important for our startups as well. Present your product or your service as a solution, right? So go into that conversation, listen to what they have to say, and then figure out what the pain point is, then present whatever you have as a solution to that pain point when it makes sense. That's how I would do it. So, because a lot of people get that wrong. A lot of people just get excited about their product or their startup, and then they just go to everybody and then they say, oh, I have, this is really cool, but it's not necessarily the right people that they're getting it in front of. And then it just kind of becomes a bit salesy and people don't like that. So the best way I can describe it is that present it as a solution to people. So I don't know if that answered your question. Thank you so much. Okay. We have 9 minutes if you guys want to chat about something. No.
I don't know, maybe not, but that was amazing. Jeffrey and I've been chatting, and we learned a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Mina. Appreciate it.
No worries. I'm glad you guys liked it. I think you guys have another event in 10 minutes, so I'll make sure to be there. But thank you so much, everyone. Really enjoyed getting to know you guys, and feel free to add me on LinkedIn. If you want to email me, email me. I'm always available after hours to just kind of have a chat about your startup. I do it with my other partners, so no problem. I'll hang out as well and make time for you guys. So just shoot me an email. I'm a very friendly person, and I'll make sure to make time for you guys.
Nice. What's your role at HubSpot, by the way?
So I have, I'm part of the HubSpot for Startups program. And then we have like a number of different partners in Canada. So I'm responsible for managing the Canadian portfolio, making sure that, we have positive relationships in the territory, and it's, a warm two-way relationship. So it's just about a lot of partnership engagement, essentially.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm feeling the love. You guys are so nice.
we have the best community. We just do. Like, they're so awesome. I get to talk to all of these amazing people every day. So yeah, they're great. If you guys are doing in-person events in Toronto, I'll try to like drop by too. This is like, I really enjoyed like just chatting with everybody today. Yeah, I don't know if we'll go back to like pitches in Toronto, in the sense that I think we might have. I don't know, Jeffrey can confirm. We might at some point have, we used to do one, like it was like our New Year networking event. So we might go back to doing that, hopefully. But, pitches, you have such a global audience now, right? So local to Toronto is a little bit tougher for pitches, but. Oh yeah, because your network is very global, right? Now it is, yeah. Everybody's everywhere, right? It wouldn't be very inclusive. So. True.
Do you guys do events in Asia? Like HubSpot?
HubSpot events?
Yeah.
We do, yeah. We have like a team in like Singapore. We have a team in Japan. Yeah, shoot me an email. Like I can figure that out for you for sure.
This would be awesome.
Yeah, because they do plenty of those things. Like and those teams are like more established. Like Canada is a very new territory for HubSpot. Like we just turned one here, but the Asia territory is far more mature than ours. So like I'm sure they have lots of activities. I just have to ask around for you.
Yeah, I got your email. Thank you.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
So
so
how's the weather in Canada?
it's getting cold.
It's nice today, at least. It's not raining today.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a typhoon over here in Vietnam, so it just
Oh,
ended.
wow. Oh, you're so
Yeah.
lucky. You probably have great weather, right?
It's like 35 degrees every day and very humid. So
I
that's why
love,
like
that's my ideal weather.
well, please let me invite you for like Vietnamese coffee when you come over.
Oh, I would love that. Add me on LinkedIn. I'm gonna remember. Like Vietnam is on my list.
That's a deal. I'll get you like Vietnamese pho too as well.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Laura, should we close this?
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna stay on but and mute because
Okay.
people will start to come in soon. So, and then I think there's some people here that are probably in the ED event as well.
Okay.
It's
Awesome.
it's the same link, Laura.
Yep.
Perfect.
Simple person.
Nina, great job. I know I posted it before, but great to see you, but awesome. Thank you for walking through all of this. It was very well done. And I think it's, well, we'll post it out again later, but very helpful. So the community gets to learn a bit more too, which is super good.